Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. You know how much we love baseball around here, so today we're going to be looking at some new tech that's changing the game in a really big way.
Yeah, and it's not just like new bats or gloves or anything like that. This is about like the strike zone itself.
Exactly. We're talking about automated ball strike systems,
Yeah.
ADS for short.
And we're going to be drawing on the work of this baseball analyst, Tom
You
Tango.
might know him better by his Twitter handle, though, right?
Yeah, he's at Tango Tiger on there, and he's done some really fascinating work.
So shout out to Tom Tango for giving us so much to think about today.
Yeah.
But our mission, if you choose to accept it, is to really get a handle on this ABS stuff, like how it works, what different types there are, and even like how the very definition of a strike is changing.
Yeah, it's not just some theory anymore either, right?
Yeah.
This is like real world stuff.
Thousands of games.
Over 7,900 games across like all sorts of leagues have used some form of ABS. So,
This is a massive testing ground.
yeah, a massive testing ground.
So much data.
It's wild.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. What exactly is an ABS?
Okay, so basically, picture this system that can track the baseball. So precisely, it's insane.
Okay.
It uses cameras and software to determine whether a pitch crosses the strike zone or not.
Okay.
And there are two main types,
Okay.
full ABS and
Right.
challenge ABS.
Full ABS. So is that where the system is making like every single call?
Yeah, you got it.
Like no human umpire at all?
Every single pitch is analyzed by the system, takes that human element out of it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep.
And then challenge ABS. I'm guessing that's where it's like umpires and tech working together.
Yeah, exactly. So the umpires still make the initial call,
Okay.
but players can challenge those calls just like they challenge other plays on the field.
Right.
Obviously, there's a limit to how many incorrect challenges they get.
Makes sense. Keeps things spicy.
Yeah, you don't want to go crazy with it.
Right. Exactly.
But it's really interesting to see how this all plays out, with thousands of games now under our belt using these systems. What have we learned? What surprised you the most digging into all that data?
Well, one of the things that's been fascinating to me is like, okay, we all kind of know what a strike zone is, right?
Yeah,
Like we can picture it. But to try to define that for a computer,
that's the challenge.
that's got to be insanely complex.
Yeah, like how do you translate that visual thing into something that a machine can understand?
Right.
So,
So like, where do you even begin with that?
well, they started by looking at like the bottom of the strike zone.
Okay.
Initially, they set it at 28% of the batter's height.
Okay.
Makes sense,
But,
right?
yeah, like proportional.
Proportional to the batter.
Yeah.
But after 375 games, the data was like,
Yeah.
this needs some tweaking.
So they were like actually adjusting the strike zone based on the games that had already been played.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's data-driven.
What did they end up changing it to?
Well, they tried a couple of things. So first, they went to 27.5%
Okay.
for 548 games.
Okay.
But eventually, they landed on 27%.
Okay.
And that seems to be the sweet spot for both full ABS, which has been used in 881 games, and challenge ABS, which has been used in 4,100 games.
Wow. Okay. So like they really honed in on that.
They did.
Okay. But now I'm curious, like, wouldn't a high strike be easier to define? Why all this like experimentation with the top of the zone?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Because the top of the strike zone has been a real testing ground.
Okay.
They've experimented with everything from 51% to 56% of the batter's height,
Hold on. Wait a minute.
much wider range.
If home plate is the same size,
Yeah.
why would they be testing different widths for the strike zone?
It's all about replicating how umpires actually call strikes.
Oh.
And as any baseball fan knows, that's not always exactly the same as the rulebook definition.
So they're not just trying to build a system that's like perfectly accurate according to the rule book. They're trying to build a system that's like
Replicates,
a human umpire.
yeah,
Oh, that's interesting.
but consistently
But consistently.
across every single game.
Yeah, across every game and every umpire.
Yeah.
So they're like quantifying the umpire's like, wide zone,
Yeah, exactly.
which is wild.
And they've tested widths ranging from 17 to 21 inches.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, so there's the width, we've got the height. But wait a minute.
What else is there?
There's more to the strike zone than just height and width, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's three-dimensional.
Absolutely.
But the software is showing it on a two-dimensional screen. How do they handle that?
That is the trickiest part, the depth of the strike zone.
Okay.
So how do you figure out exactly when a pitch enters that 3D zone?
Yeah.
especially when it's all happening in like a fraction of a second.
Right. And pitchers are throwing, what, 100 miles an hour these days?
It's insane.
It's got to be so hard to pinpoint.
So they experimented with placing the front of the strike zone right at the front of home plate,
Okay.
and even 7 inches behind it.
So they were really trying to figure out, like, that exact moment that a pitch becomes a strike.
Yeah. Not just where it crosses the plate, but when.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did they land on?
Eventually, they found that 8.5 inches behind home plate struck the best balance between accuracy and like visual clarity,
Okay.
right between the front and the back tip.
Okay, so right in the middle.
Yeah, right in the middle. And that's what they've been using for the 2025 spring training games.
Speaking of spring training, they're using that challenge ABS there
Yeah.
with a limit of 2 unsuccessful challenges.
Yeah, 2.
2?
Do you think that's the sweet spot?
I think so, It lets technology improve the accuracy,
Right.
but you're still keeping that human element in the game.
Like that back and forth.
I bet those challenge moments are intense.
Oh, yeah.
Like you've got a close pitch,
Yeah.
the umpire makes the call,
Shot
and
like
then
that.
challenge?
It's going to be fun to watch.
It is.
The early reactions have been very positive, though.
Okay, good.
Fans are excited about the potential for fairness,
Yeah.
and it seems to be striking a good balance.
No pun intended. Between the technology and the tradition.
Yeah.
But do you think this is going to change, like, how managers and pitchers approach the game?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, suddenly knowing an umpire's tendencies isn't as important anymore.
You can't rely on getting those borderline calls anymore.
You can't play those games.
No,
So it's really leveling the playing field.
literally.
Literally, this could change, like, pitching mechanics, hitting techniques,
Everything.
how players adapt.
You're going to see players constantly trying to outsmart the system.
Like a technological arms race.
It's going to be wild.
This could change how players are trained, how they're scouted,
Absolutely.
even how we evaluate talent.
Yeah.
But wait a minute. If we're taking this to its logical conclusion, does baseball just become a purely data-driven game?
I don't think so.
Where, like, the algorithms rule?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's humans playing the game right,
Right.
making those split-second decisions.
Yeah.
But we could be entering a new era.
Where
Data and
play
technology.
a much bigger role than ever before. It's
Exactly.
exciting and a little bit scary at the same time.
It is.
This deep dive into ABS has definitely given us a lot to think about.
A lot to think about.
So we're going to take a quick break.
Yeah.
Come back with us, and we're going to talk about the implications of this new technology on the future of baseball.
Stay tuned.
We're back, and before the break, we were talking about, the impact of all this on the umpires themselves.
Yeah, what's going to happen to those guys?
Right? Like, is it possible that we'll reach a point where, technology is calling every pitch so perfectly that there's just no room for debate anymore?
Yeah, no more arguing with the ump.
Like, part of me thinks that would make the game so much fairer.
Yeah, definitely.
But wouldn't that also, like, take some of the excitement out of it?
Yeah,
Those classic baseball moments.
those moments when the manager comes storming out of the dugout,
Yeah.
gets in the ump's face,
It's
screaming and yelling.
iconic.
It's part of the game.
right.
It's that human element.
And it's not just about the drama either.
No.
Right.
It's strategy.
Like right now, managers and pitchers, they factor the umpire's tendencies into their game plan.
Oh, absolutely.
Like knowing that a particular umpire has a wide zone or tends to call high strikes.
Yeah, that can give you a real edge.
But in a world of perfect, consistent ABS,
Oof, it's gone.
guy.
Those nuances disappear.
So we're leveling the playing field in a way that could completely change how the game is played.
It really could, but
Oh, okay, let's say the debate shifts from arguing with the umpire to arguing with the technology.
right.
Wouldn't that just create a whole new set of problems?
Well, it's true that the focus would shift.
Instead of like, did he get the call right or wrong?
It's, did the
Our
ABS
algorithm get it right.
interpret the rule correctly?
Exactly.
Did the code make the right call?
And what about the players themselves?
Right.
Wouldn't they have to adjust their approach, knowing that every pitch is going to be called like that?
No, absolutely. Hitters won't be able to rely on those borderline calls anymore.
Right.
Pitchers won't be able to, get away with as many pitches.
It could lead to some.
It makes you think.
This deep dive into ABS has definitely given us a lot to think about.
A lot to think about, and it leads us to some even bigger questions.
Right.
How will ABS shape the future of baseball? Will it fundamentally change the sport as we know it? We'll explore those questions after a quick break.
Stay with us.
All right, we are back, and, it feels like we've only just scratched the surface here.
I know, right? We've talked about the different types of ABS and how the strike zone's been changing based on, thousands of games.
And like what this all means for umpires and players.
Yeah, the whole landscape of the game, really.
But I think like any good deep dive, we've probably ended up with more questions than answers.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, it means we're actually thinking about this stuff.
Exactly.
So let's leave our listeners with something to really chew on as they watch this new era of baseball unfold. What if the strike zone of the future isn't just like, a fixed set of coordinates?
Oh, yeah. I like where you're going with this.
What if it becomes something that's like dynamic,
Dynamic.
evolving, constantly changing?
Shaped by the data.
By the players?
By the technology itself.
Whoa.
Right. Like, could we see a strike zone that's actually tailored to individual players?
You mean like taking into account their height, their stance?
Their swing mechanics.
Man, that would be wild.
Or imagine this, a strike zone that changes based on the game situation.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, okay, late in the game, bases loaded tie score.
Okay.
Suddenly the strike zone expands just a little bit
Oh, to add to the drama?
to create more tension.
Oh, man, the managers would go nuts.
Right.
But I love it.
But the point is, ABS isn't just about, like, automating a call.
No, it's bigger than that.
It's about redefining a fundamental part of the game. And that has implications far beyond just balls and strikes.
It changes everything.
Everything.
Player development, game strategy, the very nature of competition in baseball.
It's exciting. It's a little scary.
It is.
And it's definitely something we'll all be watching closely.
Absolutely. So to our listener, as you watch those spring training games, pay close attention to how this all plays out.
Notice the strategies teams are using.
The new debates that are emerging.
Because you're witnessing the very beginning of what could be a massive shift in baseball.
A shift that could change the game for generations to come.
And who knows, maybe you'll be the one to spot the next big innovation in this new data-driven era of baseball.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
And a huge thanks once again to Tom Tango at Tango Tiger on Twitter for all of his incredible work analyzing all of this data.
Yeah, his stuff is amazing.
Be sure to check it out if you want to learn more about this fascinating world of baseball analytics. And until next time.